She's Hollywood royalty, a box office darling, and a household name. But behind Sandra Bullock's signature smile lies a journey filled with silent struggles, heartbreak, and strength. This is the story you haven't heard, the quiet pain behind the charm. The sparkling public image, a Hollywood favorite. From the moment Sandra Bullock hit the silver screen, there was something magnetic about her. She wasn't just talented, she was likable. Whether playing the awkward FBI agent in Miss Congeniality, the fearless astronaut in Gravity, or the fierce mother in The Blind Side, Sandra carved a space in Hollywood that felt both powerful and approachable. Her smile became iconic, confident, radiant, and full of warmth. She wasn't the scandal-chasing celebrity. She kept her private life private, and fans loved her even more for it. She appeared grounded, humble, and refreshingly normal. But fame, as we know, is a double-edged sword. And the more Sandra gave to the world through her craft, the more she kept her pain tucked behind that glittering facade. Early loss and the lessons of independence. Sandra's emotional strength was forged long before she became a household name. Born in Arlington, Virginia, to a German opera singer and an American voice coach, Sandra spent much of her early life traveling across Europe. She grew up fast. Her mother, Helga, was a strong woman, and Sandra inherited that same resilience. But tragedy struck early. Helga died of cancer in 2000, and the loss devastated Sandra. Her mother had been her anchor, her biggest cheerleader, and the person she turned to when life got overwhelming. Losing her was like losing part of herself. But Sandra didn't crumble in public. She didn't lean into celebrity sob stories. She grieved quietly, choosing to honor her mother's memory in private. This would become a recurring pattern in her life, suffering in silence, rising with grace. A love story turned nightmare. In 2005, Sandra Bullock married Jesse James, a motorcycle builder and reality TV star. To the outside world, they seemed like an unlikely but charming match. Sandra even thanked Jesse during her emotional Oscar acceptance speech in 2010 for The Blind Side, saying, "There's no surprise that my work got better when I met you." But just weeks later, everything unraveled. Multiple women came forward alleging infidelity. The headlines were brutal. Tabloids had a field day, painting Jesse as the villain and Sandra as the betrayed woman. And while the world watched and speculated, Sandra retreated from the spotlight. It wasn't just a public embarrassment, it was a personal betrayal. The man she had built a life with had shattered that trust. What made this heartbreak even more complicated was that Sandra had been in the process of adopting a baby boy. Days after her Oscar win, she finalized the adoption of Louis, alone. Rather than spiral into chaos, Sandra chose dignity. She filed for divorce quietly, finalized the adoption as a single mother, and began the hardest job of all: healing. Becoming a mother, love in its purest form. Louis changed everything. In the depths of emotional pain, Sandra found light in motherhood. She has often said that becoming a mother saved her life, that Louis was just meant to be hers. Later, she would adopt a daughter, Layla, completing her family. What's remarkable is how fiercely private Sandra remained throughout this process. She didn't seek media attention or reality show deals. Instead, she protected her children like a lioness. She stopped chasing roles for fame and began choosing projects based on how they fit into her children's lives. Interviews became rare. Red carpet appearances were carefully chosen. And when she did speak about her kids, it was always with deep affection and unwavering protectiveness. Motherhood gave Sandra purpose, but it also came with its own challenges. Raising two black children as a white mother in America brought her face-to-face with racial realities she hadn't previously lived. She's been candid about those struggles, saying she's had to learn and unlearn so much. But she's faced it with honesty, heart, and humility. The private battle with ALS, a heartbreaking goodbye. Just when it seemed Sandra had finally found peace, tragedy knocked again. In 2015, Sandra quietly began dating photographer and model Brian Randall. Unlike her previous relationships, this one was deeply private and stable. Brian was loving, gentle, and fully devoted to Sandra and her children. For years, they lived like a family, raising Louis and Layla together. Brian stayed out of the limelight, and Sandra cherished the simplicity of their bond. She once called him the love of my life and made it clear that she didn't need a marriage license to know she had found her partner. But in August 2023, Sandra faced a devastating loss. Brian died after a 3-year battle with ALS, a disease they had kept completely private. The world didn't even know he was sick until he was gone. That's how Sandra wanted it. She chose to care for him out of the spotlight, shielding his final years from media scrutiny. Only a handful of people knew the depth of her pain. In silence, she watched the man she loved fade away. Losing Brian wasn't just about grief. It was about watching someone you adore suffer, knowing there's nothing you can do but love them through it. And Sandra did just that. Silently, bravely, completely, stepping away, a choice rooted in love. In March 2022, before Brian's passing became public knowledge, Sandra announced she was stepping away from acting. She said she needed to be in the place that makes me happiest. At the time, fans assumed it was about burnout. But in retrospect, it's clear she made that decision to be with Brian during his final stretch and to be a full-time mom. For someone as successful as Sandra Bullock to walk away from Hollywood at the peak of her career speaks volumes. It wasn't a retreat. It was an act of love. She understood that no amount of fame, fortune, or applause mattered more than holding the hand of the man she loved or being present at every soccer game, every school play, and every bedtime story. That is the essence of Sandra Bullock, the woman who has everything, yet chooses the quiet moments over the spotlight, the power of private pain. Sandra Bullock's story isn't one of defeat, it's one of remarkable resilience. Her quiet pain hasn't broken her. If anything, it's made her more powerful, more human. She could have used her heartbreaks to feed the Hollywood machine. She could have sold interviews, released memoirs, or capitalized on her grief. But she didn't. Instead, she taught the world that it's okay to feel deeply, to fall apart in private, and to protect your peace fiercely. She modeled how to navigate pain without bitterness, how to rise without revenge. Her journey reminds us that behind the most dazzling smiles are often the deepest scars, but the quiet life she built with intention, strength, and love. A life where pain didn't define her, it refined her. Fans continue to support her not just for her talent, but for her grace under fire. She represents what so many people strive to be: kind, authentic, and unshakably strong. The smile that says it all. So the next time you see Sandra Bullock flash that familiar smile, know this: it's not just for show. It's a smile that has survived betrayal, loss, grief, and unimaginable pain. It's a smile that hides stories we may never fully know, and yet it still shines. Because real strength doesn't scream. It whispers. It endures. It heals in silence. Sandra Bullock may be one of the most beloved actresses in the world, but her greatest role has always been the one she plays off-screen, a woman of immense depth, courage, and compassion. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more powerful stories that go beyond the headlines. Because behind every star, there's a story, and sometimes, the quietest ones shine the brightest.